Hi friends, hope you are doing well. I am Dr. Ganguly. Welcome to my channel. So today I am going to talk about the H1B visa, specifically the cap-free H1B visa. And if you are an international student in the US or you are somebody who is a professional and wants to come to the US to work, you know that the H1B visa is something which you need to get. Now this visa typically lets you work for 3 years in the US and then it is extended for another 3 years. There are 85,000 such visas given out each year, and typically you need a bachelor's degree to get this visa. It's also advantageous if you have a master's degree or PhD in case you want to get this visa, because that is something which the USCIS likes. It likes the fact that you are highly specialized in terms of your skill, in terms of your degrees and so on. Now, of course, what happens is that many people apply for this visa. The number of people applying is far more than those who get. So there is a lottery system, and about 10 to 20% of the people who apply are actually given the visa at the end. So this is a very random process. The probability of your getting the H1B visa through the lottery is quite less. And therefore, today I'm going to talk about the institutions which can hire people through the H1B route, which are not subject to this lottery requirement, which do not have to go through this cap of 85,000 and so on. So these are the guys who are able to give you the so-called cap-free H1B visa. So let us look at the 4 types of employers who can do this. Now the number one are the non-profit institutions which are involved in education. So of course what comes to your mind here is the plethora of universities, colleges which are spread out throughout the United States. So ranging from Harvard, MIT, Stanford to your local state university or any college which is out there. All these guys are typically non-profit and they can sponsor you for this H1B cap-free visa. So these are essentially the accredited colleges and universities in the US, and they can get you this visa. Now do remember that they would of course like to give the visa to people who want to become professors or research scientists at their universities, but there are also many jobs which involve things such as IT, which involve computers and so on. So many universities give online degrees, they have a lot of online programs, and therefore they do require people who have expertise in information technology, in cybersecurity and so on. Now the second type of institutions are non-profit organizations which are affiliated to these universities or educational institutions, and the top or well known among them are the medical colleges or the medical centers which are affiliated with almost all the major universities. So these are the colleges where most people do their medical degree in the US, and what happens is that again they need not only people who have expertise in the medical domain, but also in the life sciences, in the health sciences, in research, even in fields such as IT, because a lot of IT type of work is going on in fields such as cancer recognition from video pictures and so on. And so there are a lot of positions which may be out there in these medical centers and clinics which you can contemplate of applying for. Now beside the well-known medical centers, there may also be some kind of schools which are affiliated with the universities. There may be also research centers and so on. So any of these bodies you can also apply for the H1B cap-free visa. Now the third part is non-profit research organizations, and these are again spread out throughout the United States. These are various organizations which are non-profits or sometimes even companies, and they are doing work for social service. So they range from humanities, social sciences to engineering, law and so on. So for example, there are institutes such as the Center for Democracy and Technology. There are many such institutes out there in the US, and you can apply for jobs in these institutes. Now the fourth are of course the US government research organizations, typically the national labs. There are a large number of them. So some of the famous ones include NASA. So if you are somebody who is a scientist in the space domain, you can aspire for getting the H1B cap-free in a place such as NASA. Also various national labs, they not only work on space, they also work on things such as infectious diseases. They work on the problems related to global warming, ocean, weather prediction and so on. So you can apply to any of these labs also. Now, what are the requirements for this visa? There are actually 2 requirements. One is that they have to pay you at least $60,000 per year, or you should have a master's or higher degree. So in my case, what I have found is that most people who get this visa, they tend to have a master's or a PhD degree, typically a PhD degree. Then it makes the life of the people much simpler, because the USCIS can clearly see that you have somewhat exceptional criteria and you are well qualified to work in the university or the research institution. Now, the advantage of this visa is that the probability of getting this visa is high because there is no lottery, but the biggest problem you are going to have is getting an employer to sponsor you. So unless you have some advanced degree which is very coveted by the universities, research centers, hospitals and so on, they are not very eager to sponsor a candidate, because to remember, they have to go through all the paperwork, they have to go through all the processes related to immigration, lawyers and so on, and all these entails a lot of additional cost for the institution. So again, various non-profits and all may not have much money, but the universities often have a lot of money, so they may be able to sponsor you. Same thing may go for some of the national labs also, if you have some coveted skills in certain branches of technology which they really want. Remember, many of these institutions are located in places which are pretty remote, and therefore what may happen is they may not be able to get US citizens or green card holders to apply for those jobs in some of these places. So finally, I should say that the biggest problem which is going to happen for you is trying to locate the employer. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to put in the description box a list which is an informal list of some of the employers which may be willing to sponsor you for the cap-free H1B visa. And if you are a student who is currently studying in USA, planning to study in USA sometime, maybe hoping to come to US, always keep in mind that you can bypass the lottery. You do not have to be a victim of probability and stochastic processes. You can choose a deterministic path and apply for the H1B cap-free visa, provided you try to do a master's and PhD degree and look for a job in one of the universities, in one of the research institutions, the national labs, the think tanks and the non-profits. So there are a plethora of jobs out there which are not only reasonable in terms of pay, but they may also be quite attractive in terms of the type of problems they give you to do. So the typical life of a university researcher is quite interesting if this person is actually interested in the domain of his expertise. So I'll end this video now, and I will see you in a video sometime soon. See you then.